Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all keeping well. So the full-time whistle has just gone. Southampton won, Tottenham Hotspur won. Antonio Conte becomes the first ever Tottenham Hotspur manager to be unbeaten in his first 7 league games, 4 wins and 3 draws. But of course, we're all going to be talking about Anthony Taylor. We're all going to be talking about VAR and the 3 disallowed goals. I've got 3 very special guests to talk about the game today. I've got Darren, I've got Gary, I've got Ricky. Darren, let's start with you. Nice Christmas. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Very good. I'm my body weight is 90% red cabbage, 5% turkey, and 5% pepperoni. Did want to say one thing. On Boxing Day, I took my 10-year-old daughter to her first Spurs match, Crystal Palace. She was so excited. Full away kit, the shorts, the socks, all Spurs. Said it was the best day of her life. It was brilliant. And my cousin Phil, when she sat down next to us, and I said, "I'll say hello to Phil," and he just looked at her and he went, "Welcome to your new home." I could have cried. Right. I could have cried. It was a moment.
Special moments. What I want to know, Darren, is that of course you do a lot of Boris impressions and Gordon Ramsay, but can you cook like Gordon Ramsay?
Do you know what? I'm not bad actually. It was a success on Christmas Day. It really was stressful, but it was a success. Thank you for asking. But yeah.
And are we expecting any announcements from Boris in the near future?
But I think that after that game, Anthony Taylor will be put into severe lockdown, my friends. Yes, he will.
We've also got Dream Boy Gary with us. Gary, nice Christmas.
Yeah, very nice. Plenty of pick and mix, obviously sweets. Not much alcohol, just sweets, chocolates, everything else. I saw you Boxing Day, obviously, didn't I? And I was still struggling, but I mean, you and your old man didn't help. You gave me more chocolate. I mean, what are you doing to me? But yeah, I had a good Christmas. I'm sure we'll get onto the game. It was a good game, but once the second goal was disallowed, I kind of switched off. Then I knew we weren't going to win. It just wasn't our day, so you know. I think it was a 1-1 defeat or a 3-1 win. I don't know what you want to call it, but just one of those things.
Unfortunately, get into it, Gary. We'll certainly get into it. We've also got a good friend of mine and actor, Ricky Norwood. Ricky, how are you? Nice Christmas?
Very well, thank you. I had a lovely Christmas. Christmas Day and Boxing Day was beautiful, full of family, full of drinks, full of good food and bad food all at the same time. So yes, I wish everybody had a beautiful Christmas, all of the listeners and the watchers. And if you haven't given Chris a Christmas present yet, hit subscribe, hit the like button, etc., because you know this man works tremendously hard. So yeah, had a great Christmas and can't wait to get into this one, Chris.
Ricky, just before we start talking about the game, just remind everybody of your latest film, the title, and how they can find it.
Yes, so the latest film that I've just done is called The Princess Switch 3. It's a trilogy. It's a Christmas movie. I was in number 2. Obviously, number 1 is out as well. So go watch all 3 if you haven't already. But in this one, is a heist, and I play a bit of a crook, a bit of a pickpocket, but a bit of a kind of simple-minded, lovely guy. Really, all at the same time, all mixed together with some outrageous suits. So yeah, just check it out for the suits if anything else, but I'm sure you'll enjoy it. It's on Netflix right now, Princess Switch 3. Thanks, Chris.
Right, Darren, let's start with you. Let's talk about the football today. Southampton won, Tottenham Hotspur won. Your thoughts on today's game?
My thoughts, Christopher. After the Crystal Palace game, where we basically didn't play for like 20 minutes, half an hour, it was quite turgid to watch. Conte came out and he highlighted that and said, you know, we really need to be more aggressive. We need to come out and we need to like all guns blazing. So I thought that's how we were going to play. Now, I don't know whether it was because of the way Southampton set up, but it was from the word go. We couldn't break them down. Most of the first half was played in our half. We couldn't play any balls over the top. Harry Kane and Son barely had a touch. Son, especially, bless him, was wandering around like a Billy No Mates, you know, like a lost soul. And we couldn't. Everything was down the middle. There was no width, and yeah, until the penalty and that first goal, I didn't know what was going on. To be honest, I was a bit bemused. I messaged you beforehand and I said, can you shed any light to Winks for Skip and Delhi for more, and you said it was because of rotation and the game's coming thick and fast. But I think today proved, I mean, we can, you know, speak in depth about this. For me, it proved that Delhi, unfortunately, just doesn't offer anything going forward. Winks was a lot better when he passes forward, but I think we missed until Hill came on. I thought we had very little going forward, and Mora, of course, it was very frustrating to watch.
Yeah, I agree with you, Darren, and I also think that we ought to give Southampton a lot of credit, because until we got our penalty, they were exceptional. Gary, I know you probably want to have a little bit of a rant. Your thoughts on the game today?
It's just, it is what it is. It's the case of when you're playing away from home, and the team go down to 10 men. A lot of Tottenham fans and a lot of fans in general just expect you to win, but sometimes it makes it more difficult. You know, they go down to 10 men, they drop back, they defend, they sit deep. But to be honest with you, the game was slow. We wasn't good in the first half. We weren't any better in the second half. I agree with Darren. Dele Alli looked tired and slow. Very, very poor from him. Reguilon, you knew, had to come off at half time because he was going to get sent off. That was obvious. So you change him for Doherty, which is not a good swap. But at the end of the day, I don't think it was 2 points dropped. I think it was just 2 points robbed, because we weren't great, but there was nothing wrong with either of them goals. So yes, you can say we weren't great. Yes, you could say we could have had Don Ballet instead of Delhi. Yes, you could say Son was quiet. But overall, we did win that game 3-1. So regardless of what people are going to say about it and say, you know, drop points and Southampton put up a brave display, ultimately we scored 2 perfectly good goals. So that's where I sit on it. I just look at it as a point away from home. We was robbed and we just move on. And that's the end of it, really.
Gary, question for you. Kev writes on screen now, frustrating Winks, Delhi, Doherty, Deadwood, sorry. I don't know why, you know, me personally, and I know there's probably an unpopular opinion here, I thought Harry Winks was probably one of Tottenham's best players today because of what he created. You know, he created a lot of chances. He's probably our most creative player.
Yeah, he played good. He got some good tackles in. Great assist for Harry Kane's goal, which was a great goal, which would have set us on to win 3-1 like I predicted. And can't really fault Harry Winks. Great pass, great goal. Vision was good for a change, and he's getting more confident and braver. So overall, he had a good game, and Kane scored a great goal. So that it is what it is. But unfortunately, sometimes when you go away from home and there's referees and VAR, that's what happens. I think if we was at the Tottenham Stadium today, that goal probably stands, and so does the goalkeeper one. I mean, that was a similar thing with Schmeichel. I just don't. There's no consistency with VAR and refs. But at the end of the day, it's a point away from home. You move on. But it wasn't points dropped, Chris, because we was robbed. So, you know, Spurs fans can go on social media and moan all they want and moan about Winks and Doherty and Kane and Son, but we was robbed of 3 points today. That is the bottom line. So regardless of how good we played, you know, we scored two good goals there. So it's just the way it is, isn't it?
Ricky, let's come to you. Your thoughts on the game today?
Yeah, really tight first half. They were honest man for man from the beginning. You know, Southampton, you know, they did play well in the first half. Great goal by Ward-Prowse. You know, they're definitely their fresh legs and the changes that they made had an effect, especially in that first half. But as soon as we got the penalty, I felt that we dominated afterwards. You know, like second half, Southampton didn't really have that much. Yes, they went down to 10 men, but they didn't really have that much. We created chances. We had opportunities. We had 2 goals that were like Gary and Darren have said there. Like, you know, we were robbed. I still can't believe Harry Kane's goal was offside. I don't care what angle you show me or what line you draw on that pitch. When the ball was played, he was onside. So I don't know how in the football world how it was ruled out as an offside goal. And then the Forster drop, the challenge was fair. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't an unfair or malicious challenge from Doherty. He went up, you know, warranted for the ball. It dropped and then it went off. I don't even know who it went off. It went off the keeper. There you go, and in the back of the net. So how we didn't, you know, how that wasn't a registered goal, I don't know. As much as I trust Conte, I really do. Whatever he says goes for me. But I would have felt in the second half, yes, Reguilon had to be taken off. We knew that red card was coming.
Yeah.
But I would have pushed Davies to left wing back, and I would have chucked in Tanganga at left centre back. Do you know what I mean? Tanganga played well the other day. I thought that would have been a bit more natural because, as it is, Doherty's just got that 1 foot. You know, he's just about got that right foot. So you knew every single time he got down the wing, he would have to cut back in on that right foot. So easy to defend. Do you know? He did do a couple of nice bits in there, but again, nothing impressive from Doherty. When Hill came on, I thought they would have swapped him because Conte would have recognised that, you know, Gill playing on the left and Doherty playing on the right was a lot more balanced, but he didn't. So, you know, we had the chances. We had the chances to win today. We should have won today. It does feel like a Robin and a reliant Robin. And you know, the free bag should have been ours. But what can you say about VAR? What can you say about them? You know, for all of the controversy that is supposed to be taken out of the game, they put in their own. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, 2 points dropped or 2 points robbed. But you know what? We're still unbeaten. There were still patterns of play. There were still chances created. Harry looked on it. He looked determined. You know, so and he should have had, if not a hat trick. I reckon if he would have got the second one and it would have been registered, he would have gone on to try and get a hat trick.
Yeah,
and he probably would have got it. You know, because Southampton would have dropped off even more. With Winksy, do you know what? I think Winksy had a bit of an up and down game. In the first half, he done a pirouette where he lost the ball, and I was like, oh, here we go again, same old. But then in the second half, he was pinging balls over the top. He was trying to get balls in there. You know, he was looking for the through balls, and he done a lot better there. But a big shout out to Sanchez, who I think, as much as we've criticised him over the weeks, I think the last couple of games he's done really well. He's been up for the challenge. He's been blocking. He's been less bandy like on his feet. So, you know, so there are positives. Yeah, and if we would have won today, I don't even think we would have looked at the negatives. But yeah, there's a lot more going forward. It's still impressive. There's still the building blocks being put into place. We're still unbeaten. So let's crack on. Let's keep it moving and move on to the next one. Especially 24 hours, 48 hours after the last game. Do you know what I mean? I thought they put in a good shift in the second half. So what can we say, Chris? What can we say?
Well, Ricky, you said, what can we say about VAR? Antonio Conte said, we must feel frustrated today. And then he said, I don't want to comment. They are there to do their best. Darren, let's come to you on the VAR. How on earth did, you know, both those goals not stand today? You know, one is bad enough, but two, dreadful decisions.
When Winks put that ball over the top for Harry Kane and he checked and then put it in the net, I didn't actually shout out yes. My initial thing was he was off. So I went, oh. And then after all the kerfuffle and they showed the VAR, the pictures don't lie. And he was onside. I mean, the Talk Sport tweeted out a photo of him. And it's like, well, if it's that clear on the official photo, then there's something I'm not getting. I don't understand how you look at that photo and they say it's off, unless he is the tip of his elbow. And I genuinely don't know. Are they looking at different angles, different photos? What is that? Maybe you'll have a better clue than me. I don't get it.
It's meant to be clear and obvious. And when VAR come into the Premier League, it was all about favouring the attacking player, favouring the striker to create more goals in the Premier League.
Well,
now, when you look at that, if you're literally getting a ruler out by the millimetre, that is not clear and obvious, is it?
No. And when you looked at that photo, he was onside by a gnats, if anything. The second one with Doherty, I mean, it was like Gary said, it wasn't malicious. Yes, he sort of turned his back slightly, but it was, and instead of catching it up there, definitively, he sort of let it drop and sort of fumble into his midriff, and then it was Keystone Cops. But it wasn't you couldn't say it was a foul. It wasn't bang, wallop, there you go, right? No. That's it. It was none of that, you know. And this is the sort of thing that frustrates me about football, is that, you know, it's
a physical game.
It's a physical game. I was going to say it's a man's game, but it's a physical game. And if there's, you know, 50-50 challenges to be made, if the ball's in the middle and it's there to be won by two players, you know, you can't have it after you, sir. No, you please. Whoa, none of that. You know, you go and you try and get the ball. And for something like that, which is so innocuous, to give that as a foul, it's just ridiculous, you know.
Yeah.
And to have that done to us twice today, you know, like Ricky said, I think Ricky, you know, or Gary, you know, if that was at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, you could argue the fans shout and scream, and one of them gets
stood. One of them at least, 100%.
Gary, what are your thoughts on VAR? You a fan of it or not?
Yeah, I don't mind VAR. You know, today and tonight we're going to be frustrated, but you know, if it wasn't for VAR, we wouldn't got to a Champions League final. So it's got its bonuses, it's got its pluses. And the goal the other day by Son, you know, we was all waiting and we thought, I mean, Son looked more offside than what Kane did today. The problem with it is there's no consistency. If it was just really good decisions all the time, really bad, you'd accept it. But some are right, some are wrong. There's far too much protection given over goalkeepers anyway. We know that, whether VAR is involved or not. You know, you've only got to sneeze next to a goalkeeper, it's a foul. We know that. But with the Harry Kane one today, I wasn't at the game, Chris. Obviously, you was. I didn't celebrate when Kane scored straight away because of VAR. So what I've done is I waited, and I wait until they show the goal again and they pause and they stop. And then I could see he was onside. So then I celebrate because I know what VAR is like. But then even after he's onside, it's still given off. That's the frustrating thing. There's been arguments.
Do you think, though, Gary, that perhaps the Premier League should introduce something like a timer where if they can't decide in 10, 15 seconds, it's not clear and obvious then, is it? And then just give the goal. Because these decisions sometimes, they just seem to take so long. And when
it takes so long. And the thing is, when it takes that long, it's not clear and obvious. You know, I think everyone's saying it was his shoulder that was slightly offside by a millimetre or whatever. I don't know. I mean, when you look at those lines and you see them, he is onside. The player on the far side is playing him on. It's quite clear. But we've seen it before. Sometimes it's gone in our favour. I can remember a goal, what Dele Alli scored against Watford. He's gone through, he's handballed it, he's controlled it with his hand, and he scored. The goal should have been ruled out, but it was given. You know, Champions League final, semis, you know, quarters. We've had our fair share of good luck with it, but unfortunately today, there was a lot of bad luck. But the main reason I think for that is we're away from home. And you have to take into account the home fans. Now, people will say, oh, VAR, sorry, is not biased, the ref isn't, and everything else. I would put my house on it. If that game was at the Tottenham Stadium today, one of those two goals are given. It's just the way it is. These things just happen. We got lucky last week when Harry Kane didn't get sent off. You know, if it's away from home, off he goes. It shouldn't be like that, but that's the way it is. So tonight we're going to be frustrated because we've been robbed by two perfectly great goals. But next week it might work in our favour. That is just the way it is. But you're right, Chris, when you say, if you're going to make a right decision or a wrong decision, at least do it quick. Stop faffing about, because you're either going to get the decision right or wrong anyway. So why are you faffing around for so long? Do you know what I mean? That's the frustrating part about it, you know. But unfortunately, you know, it didn't go our way today. But the positives are we still got a point. We're away from home. We played some good football in the second half. And I thought, you know, Royale had another good game again. I was quite impressed with Royale. I think he's starting to look pretty decent. So Kane weren't too bad. Some so-so, still don't look fully fit to me. Winks was all right, pretty decent. You know, the killer thing is for me, Chris, is the goal that's disallowed where the goalkeeper drops the ball and backheels it in the goal. You kind of know that there's a chance that's going to be disallowed because they're protective over the goalkeeper. But what's a real killer and a gutting one to take is when Harry Winks does such a great pass and assist and Kane controls it perfectly and scores such a great goal. When that one's disallowed, when it shouldn't be, that's when it's really difficult and it does hurt a bit. But that's football,
you know, as well, the amount of times that Harry Winks gets slated for passing the ball sideways. I've never seen Harry Kane put so many forward passes in, you know, particularly great crosses. And of course, that great assist for Harry Kane. So I did think that Harry Winks had a good game. And I know that may be an unpopular opinion amongst a lot of the viewers, but that's the way I felt.
No, I agree. I agree.
On the
100% agree.
Before you go to Ricky, on the post-match interview where they had Harry Winks and they asked him, they said, what has Antonio Conte done to make you change your game? And he went, Nothing. So I don't know whether it's his mindset or what, but certainly we see it as fans. You know, he's playing it forward before. He's always looking to get forward now. And they showed a little montage of his little slide passes today. And I thought he was slow to start. I thought he was slow. He had a slow 10, 15 minutes and he was a bit all over the place. But once he got his eye in, he was good.
Do you know what, Darren? He's probably saying that because he doesn't want to admit that he was so crap before. So that's why he's saying, oh, Conte's done nothing. But Conte's definitely done something, even whether it's motivating him or changing his diet, because he is a much better player. And if I can say that, then that's something. Because Chris will tell you, I absolutely despised Harry Winks, let me tell you. Yeah. So, and
he has definitely improved most of this squad so far, and just in the 8 weeks that he's been here. So the results speak for themselves, because in the last 7 Premier League games, 4 wins, 3 draws. I know we're not happy about today's result. Ricky, before I come to you on the VAR, I just want to take this question from TK. Sell Lo Celso and Ndombele and bring in Kessie and McKennie as we can't break teams down. Yes, it would be a very interesting January transfer window. I've actually got Fabrizio Romano on this channel in the next couple of days, so do look out for that. So I will be asking him a number of questions. But me personally, Lo Celso and Ndombele, yes, if it was up to me, I'd probably sell both of them, bring some money in, and get some real creative players in who want to play for Spurs and who can, create in that midfield. Ricky, let's give you the same question. VAR, it is now down to bootlaces. It is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, Chris, and it's a lot to do with the panel that are on the VAR board or whoever's in the studio. Like Gary was saying, there ain't no consistency. Well, who knows if there's a consistent panel that are in there every week or for every game? Is there an ex-player in there? Is there somebody with experience that knows the game as well as a referee? There are. The lines are being shortened left, right, and centre, and I think it was last year we had diagonal lines, we had wavy lines and stuff like that were being drawn. Yeah. So I don't know what line was being drawn today in the picture, but in the picture for me, soon as that ball leaves, I think it's Winksy's foot, Harry's on side. He makes the run. What is it? He has to run with his arms. Do you know what I mean?
It's so frustrating, Ricky, isn't it?
It is, and it comes down to that panel. But like Gary said there as well, we win some, we lose some. It shouldn't be that way with VAR, but it still is because of the people that are putting the decision forward, that are making the decision on the pictures that are being provided. I wasn't a fan of VAR when it was first brought in, but little by little bit, I've got used to it.
The thing why I feel so bitter about 2 decisions in a game. It's been said over the last couple of months by many pundits that the refereeing in the Premier League at the moment is dreadful. It's really low quality. This could be the difference. These 2 points today could be the difference come May, whether Tottenham finish in a Champions League place or not.
Yeah. But you're absolutely right about some of the refereeing decisions. I think where VAR has come in, it's almost made referees pull back a bit with their decisions and with their eye, or maybe they're not on it as much because they're like, well, if I miss it, then VAR will come in and let me know. So
there was something in commentary, Ricky, today where unless my ears were deceiving me, where they said Anthony Taylor's made his decision, VAR won't look at that, and I thought, how does that happen? Was that to do with the
I think that was the goalkeeper one, wasn't it? Because he blew.
Yeah.
I think he blew. The problem with that situation is if he hadn't have blown so soon, right, and then the ball goes in the net and stuff like that, VAR may have said to the referee, go and have a look at the monitor or something like that. But because he blew before the ball went in the net, I mean, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, VAR don't get involved. I think that's how it is. But do you know what? I think I know VAR and I know the decisions and I know when a player is on and offside, but not always, because, nights like tonight, right, when it really guts you, I always just think back to the Champions League run, and it just makes me feel a little bit better, because I think when Sterling got that hat trick on another day that could have been given, Llorente's one on the other day, he kept going back and forth. Another day he could have given that as a handball. 5 people said it was handball, 5 said it came off his knee. There were so many. I think that's the only thing you can do, and we're away from home and we got a point. Yes, I know with Southampton they've gone down to 10 men, but that's the other thing, a lot of people slag Tottenham off because the other team went down to 10 men, but I've seen it so many times. It can be much more difficult to score against a 10-man team than an 11-player team. And I'm not making excuses for the players. It can just be difficult because they just shut up shop and just sit deep. And it's difficult, you know? So, but I'm just trying to make myself feel better.
Can I just ask you all very quickly whether you feel sorry for Premier League teams that they've got to play games 48 hours after the last one?
No, not really. No.
Well, I mean, it's tradition. Like it's been that way for years and years. You know, they come thick and fast, as the cliche goes. So, I mean, I suppose it's up. You know, it's up to the managers to rotate the squad and to, you know, give everyone. No. But I don't feel sorry for them. Of course not. No.
And those differences as well with the games coming thick and fast, as Darren just said there, especially over the Christmas period, it does allow those permutations to arise, you know, because you can't have your first 11 or your strongest 11 out all the time. You have to rotate, so that brings different elements into the game for us and the opposition.
Well, I mean, look at it this way, Chris. Ndombele will probably play 20-30 minutes, and he's probably on not far off $1 million a month. So nah, I won't feel sorry for the players. No.
Ricky, let's come back to you. Southampton made 6 changes after beating West Ham on Boxing Day. Tottenham Hotspur made 3 changes today, dropping out Tanganga, Skip and Lucas, coming in Ben Davies, Harry Winks, Dele Alli. How did you feel about that starting 11 when you saw that?
Again, I trust Conte with his decisions and the decisions that he makes. And again, after, 24 hours after the previous game, I expected some rotation. It was a shame for Dele because I felt after the last couple of performances when he's come on or when he started, he's shown a bit more and he was, on the roll again. It seemed like he was building up his play and him becoming a player within our team again. But he was off it. He was, he was a bit slow. He didn't really get involved. He was running around a lot. I really wanted him to make an impact today to kind of cement his kind of comeback trail. But unfortunately, he didn't do that. It was an obvious sub to make Lucas coming on for him in the second half. I thought it would have happened at half time, in fact.
Yeah.
But, it was a shame for him. Again, we spoke about Winksy. Again, I think he had a bit of a up and down game. It wasn't like I wasn't awestruck by his performance, but at the same time, I felt he had a good, solid performance. A couple of mistakes, couple of through balls, and he grew into the game. And then Davies coming back, we was all happy with. That's our back three. But again, like I said earlier, like I would have expected because of Reguilon, I would have expected Tanganga to come in at left centre back and then Davies push out to the left wing back, and that would have given us a bit more balance going forward, or even go into a back four, going 4-2-3-1, where they were down to 10 men. I think we could have afforded to go to a 4 at the back, put and do that 4-2-3-1 thing, and just kind of just press them and attack them and press them and attack them. But we didn't do that, Again, Conte's got his reasons, and I trust him. So I don't care what team is out anymore, Chris. I do remember looking at team sheets, being like, what, like who's starting? Like what? Okay, we're gonna get roasted today, or he's gonna get. We're guaranteed a mistake from that one, or. So, but I don't have that anymore with Conte. I'm like, well, if he trusts them, then I trust them, and let's see what they've got, And I kind of give them a clean sheet like that. So it's up to them to kind of impress me or not. So I wasn't too worried about the starting 11 at all, but I just would have wished Dele would have taken another starting opportunity.
He looked slow, Dele.
Yeah, and just on, I know we are tremendously, as a fan base, tremendously frustrated by Lo Celso and Ndombele for various different reasons. But you got to remember that Ndombele has still done more than Lo Celso. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what Lo Celso does. I don't know where he plays. I would love him to be the player he is for Argentina for us. I would love him to be, a player that wants to kind of achieve and kind of go out there and show us and cement his place. But every time he's had an opportunity for one reason or another, whether it's international duty or an injury, He hasn't put his best foot forward. So for all the kind of criticism that Ndombele gets, at least that guy, when he is there, he will get an assist, or he'll make a run, or he'll do something. He doesn't do it as often as we all want him to do. He doesn't do it as consistently as we want him to do, but he has still done more. He has still scored more and assisted more for us than Lo Celso has. Do you know what I mean?
Agreed.
And if Conte could get the best out of Ndombele, I think it would be, you know, again, our starting 11 would be a tremendous thing. Do you know what I mean? But I don't know whether all these chances have gone coming up to January.
Yeah. Darren, let's come to you. Now, kept this comment on screen because I felt exactly the same, actually. We were awful first half up until the sending off. I thought that Southampton, you know, I'm going to give Southampton full credit because from the very first kick in the game, their pressing, their fast movement, their one-touch football, I thought was exceptional. They definitely had a game plan today. It was really working for them until the sending off. In the first 10 minutes, they had 3 good chances. They had a couple of headers and a shot went wide. Of course, Ben Davies put the ball in the net after 14 minutes, but of course that was clearly offside due to Southampton's good defending. And then, of course, Southampton went 1-0 up in the 25th minute from a throw-in. Dele Alli and Emerson Royale failed to clear it and deal with it, and a great strike from James Ward-Prowse.
Yeah, I mean, because I knew I was coming on here, I was making notes, and you know, I put, you know, Dyer kicked it straight out to the opposition a couple of times. We haven't discussed Dyer. There's always a mistake in him, you know, as much as he's, you know, pinging balls.
I was going to say that actually, Darren. 300th appearance in a Spurs shirt today. What have you made of Eric Dyer's Tottenham career?
He's hot and cold. There's always a mistake in him. Like one of the goals against Liverpool, he just whacked it straight to the opposition, and he did that today within the first 5 minutes. He just booted it straight to a Southampton player, and I'm just thinking, come on now, like this is the basics. Like this is just distribution. Surely, you know, there's always a mistake, and in the end, he nearly lost us the game. What was that little interplay right at the 93rd minute or something?
Yeah, right at the definite. Yeah.
You know, it's like the bloody Keystone Cop. So I just wish that he would have a bit more discipline and a bit more calmness in his game, especially with distribution. I don't get that. But I mean, exactly that, Chris. You know, I think no shots on goal in the first 25 minutes. The game was played in our half. Southampton pressing us, and we can't even get the ball up to Kane and Son. I mean, it wasn't good. And this is what I said at the beginning of the game, that I'm a sort of glass half full man, where I always sort of think, if we have a crap game previously, especially when like the manager highlights certain things like we weren't aggressive at the start, we didn't come out and we weren't quick off the block, you think, well, fine, he's highlighted that, therefore we'll rectify it in the next game. And we played exactly the same way. They were honest, they were man-for-man marking, and it was ponderous, you know, and you're just sitting there scratching your head, just thinking, well, surely you change something. Surely you'd maybe play balls over the top or try and get some width instead of playing it out to the center. It was incredibly, and Dele was coming very deep. Like if he was playing that role behind, is it a number 9 behind Son and Kane and like the link up man, he was coming so far deep. And it was just frustrating to watch. You know, a lot of our wing backs were swapping sides to try and make tackles and to get the ball. It was very frustrating until they got the sending off, and then it was sort of, it changed things. But I thought we'd come out much quicker than that.
Yeah,
I know a number of Southampton fans are very disappointed by the first yellow card by Salisu, because they felt that Emerson Royale had actually handballed it in that build-up play. So they were disappointed that he, of course, then got the second yellow and then was sent off. But you know, fair play to Southampton, Gary. They you know, they had a very good first half, didn't they?
Yeah, it reminded me of when we went to theirs before, and it was a very similar first half under Mourinho, and there wasn't much in it. I don't know if it finished 1-1 I think it was 1-1 at the half time, and in second half we came out and we just ran riot. And we could have got 4-5, and I thought the same thing was going to happen today because they went down to 10 men. I mean, in regards to the Southampton fans feeling a bit aggrieved, yeah, maybe, but it could have been a straight red for that second tackle anyway, because he's quite on goal, Son. So I think sending off, it is what it is. I mean, I made a few notes today, and in the first half, they'd made 15 fouls to Tottenham's 3. I mean, they were playing some dirty football and doing a lot of nasty fouls, so they can't expect to get away with it for the whole game. You know, someone's going to get sent off. It's the way it is. But just going back to the game, I thought we'd come out second half. They're down to 10 men, and we'd push on and win the game. And that's what we did. Let's not forget, we did push on, and we did win that game. The only reason why we didn't win it is because we've been robbed. So if we had come out second half and we hadn't scored a couple of good goals and stuff and that, we could maybe have a bit more to complain and moan about. But at the end of the day, we're away from home. We're playing Southampton, and not an easy side. They just beat West Ham. I know before that they didn't have a great run, but they did beat West Ham. All right, so they're on a bit of a winning thing, so they're confident. We've come out second half, and we scored a few goals. On another day, we win that game 3-1, and it's, you know, we put it to bed and we move on, and it's another 3 points. Unfortunately, the ref and VAR weren't on our side today. And it's just one of those things, you know, and I'm still confident going into the next few games because we was the better team today, and we was the better team the other day, and we was the better team against Liverpool. So we are moving in the right direction. We was just robbed today. And you're going to have fans that say, yeah, but, you know, we should score even more then. And, you know, they're 10 men. It's not good enough. And City would have pressed on and won. We couldn't do no more than what we did. We scored the goals. If they're going to be taken away off us, that's what happens. It's life. You know, once 2 were disallowed, I knew then, I thought, we're either going to draw this or lose it because it's just not our day. And that's it. It just wasn't our day, Chris. And I feel for you, mate. You know, you're probably somewhere in Southampton as we speak. And you've got to travel all the way back. And it's frustrating. And it's frustrating when you're on, you know, you're on Sky Sports News afterwards. And everyone is saying 2 perfectly good goals. You know, it's frustrating. But what can you do? I'm just glad to see that we are creating chances. Because let's not forget, go back 5 weeks. We weren't having a shot on goal. At least we're scoring goals and creating chances, and all the players have improved.
Could be worse. Could be worse, Gal. He could be in a car sitting next to you, driving back from Kazakhstan.
Yeah, I mean, at least it's not a 30-hour journey, Chris. That's something, isn't it?
Dare I say it? And I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Ricky, come to you. Do you think today was a fair result, bearing in mind that, you know, we got absolutely battered in that first half? You know, we really failed to create anything to, you know, test the goalkeeper before the sending off. Of course, Southampton fans are unhappy with that first yellow card, and then of course he gets the second one. Right at the end, Southampton had that chance as well. Yes, we've had a couple of disallowed goals, but, you know, in the past, this might have been a game that we would have lost.
You know what, Chris? I've got to disagree, mate. I've got to disagree in the sense of I felt we deserved to win it. After the first goal, I felt we was the one on the front foot. You know, yes, they went down to 10 men, and we used that advantage to our benefit. Like Gary said there, we scored 2 perfectly good goals there. That should have been at least one of them should have been chalked up. So. As a goal. So it you know, like Southampton, they played really well first half. Like I say, man to man, energy. They were tenacious. They were getting those little fouls in, those little niggles. You know, when they tread in the foot or the heel or something. They were niggly. You know, Walker Peters, he was all over Reguilon in the first half. You know, caused him loads of problems. And was a man that was not only defending but was utilized in the attack as well. So yes, they had their opportunities, but that's what football is. You know, it's about taking your opportunities. You know, the old cliche, it's a game of 2 halves. That's because in the first half you could be playing utter rubbish, and in the second half you could get frustrated, get angry, and go, you know what, we're going to do them, and then totally dominate the second half of the game. So I don't feel it's a fair result. I don't think 1-1's a fair result. I think that they had a fantastic goal in the first half. Like I say, Ward-Prowse struck that so sweet, and it, you know, he does the golfing celebration, and it was like a golfer's shot. They deserved their goal in the first 20-25 minutes. You know, they were on us, and they deserved it. We started really slow. You could put that down to, and I'm not saying it is, but you could put that down to a lot of fatigue after, you know, the training sessions that Antonio Conte's got them doing, and the game less than 24 hours before, you know. So it could have been a bit of fatigue where it took them a while to warm up. But if I look at it over the past couple of games, it's taken us a while to warm up anyway. It takes us 10, 15 minutes to warm up into the game anyway. So, you know, yes, they scored their goal, but it did motivate us to be like, all right, cool, let's go get it again. The heads didn't drop, the shoulders didn't drop. They were up for kind of getting the equaliser back and making it right. So I don't think it was a fair result. I think it was an unfair result. I think Southampton got away with it. I think they're going to be the happier of the two sides going away with a point.
Yeah,
you know?
Agreed.
We were like the big bad wolf at the end, the last 50, huffing and puffing, and we couldn't blow them over. I mean, I couldn't sit down. I stood up at 85 minutes and saw the next 10 minutes on my feet because I was like, we have got to score. This is insane.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And even with that dire mistake right on 93 minutes, all right, yep, cool, he made the mistake. But look at Sanchez coming in to cover him. Now, the best partnership that we've had for a long time, Jan and Toby, they used to do that all day.
Yeah, agreed.
When one made a mistake, the other one would clear up after him. When one went forward, one went back. Do you know what I mean? And that's what a defensive partnership is, you know? So, yeah, he made the mistake, but look at Sanchez again there, in
another good game.
Pace and the block. You know, like I said, less Bambi-ish type of footwork going on with him. He's looking more comfortable in a back three, you know, and who would have thought that Romero would have a difficulty coming back into that back line? I was
going to say, Ricky, isn't it amazing that none of us are hearing or reading, you know, people saying, oh, we need Romero back. No one's saying it.
No.
That's because Sanchez stepped up. And you know, he's got a manager that's going to recognize the good that he does and focus his brain to do simple jobs, but do them well. You know, Winks might have said on camera that Conte hasn't done anything for him or he hasn't changed anything for him. But let me tell you, just that man putting his faith into you is gonna raise you. He's gonna give you an extra 10%, real easy. If he looks at Winks in his eyes and he says to him, you know what? I see what you can do. I see that you could be a dynamite player for me. I see, you know what I mean, the ability that you've got. Pass forward a bit more. Do you know what I mean? Be a bit tenacious in the tackle. Play your game because I know you can play this game in my formation and in my system. Even if it's just that, you know, that's going to raise Winks' bar an extra 10, 15%.
Yeah.
You know, because everybody else, listen, and the thing is that Winks had the opportunities under Mourinho. You know, before Højbjerg turned up, Winks was in that midfield week in, week out, and it was like we had no midfield. It was like there wasn't any midfield. He you know, the criticism was fair in the fact that he wasn't playing well. He really wasn't. He was nowhere. He was a chicken without a head for majority of the games. And Højbjerg came in. When Højbjerg came in, he was doing 2-3 other players' positions. He was covering all the right, all the left, and then trying to cover the defense as well. Do you know what I mean? When he was playing alongside Winks. So there has been an upturn. You know, whether Winks wants to admit it or not, that's irrelevant. But there has been an upturn in fortune. There has been an upturn in thinking and application as well with a lot of those players. It's just, again, unfortunate today that Dele didn't take his chance, I felt.
Yeah.
Just before we take this question from Paul for you, Darren, just wanted to ask all three of you very quickly. James Ward-Prowse in the January transfer window, or indeed the summer transfer window, would you take him at Tottenham?
I would. I think he's dynamite. He's dynamite.
Yeah, I think he's pretty good.
Yeah. For set pieces alone, you'd want him. At the moment, we haven't got anyone really, have we? Who takes our free kicks? Sort of, you know.
Harry Kane.
Yeah, there's no one. Kane's rubbish. Dyer's rubbish. I mean, we can't get on about free kicks because the wrong players are always taking them for Tottenham, isn't they? It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Never mind.
And
Darren, go on, mate, go.
I was just going to say, to come back on the there was a super chat that came up about Kessie and McKennie.
Yeah.
Swapping them for Ndombele and Lo Celso. Well, Kessie and McKennie, they're both holders. Yes, they do play balls forward. Yes, they can be creative, but their roles are as DMs. Do you know what I mean? And Ndombele and Lo Celso are supposed to be there as creative. So swapping them two is not going to solve our problems. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to solve the creativity problem. We're going to get a lot more of a box-to-box midfielder in Kenny and in Kessie. And, you know, there's a higher bar for McKennie, but we still need the creative guys in there to kind of get those through balls in, you know, to have a bit of skill, to have a bit of dynamism on the ball, to kind of confuse the opposition a little bit. They're not those type of players. They're more solid, beefy.
You say that, though, Ricky. You say that, but when you see Tottenham starting 11 today, you're looking at Højbjerg, Winks, and Dele Alli. You know, some Spurs fans may say, "Well, where's the creativity there?" So, I think a lot of people are just wanting a change in the midfield, which brings us perfectly onto this question, because, of course, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg is getting a lot of flack lately from a lot of Spurs fans. And Paul writes here, first 25 minutes showed that 2 in midfield is too weak. And we can't control centre of midfield. We need to play a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-3 to have success. Darren, what are your thoughts on Pierre-Emile Højbjerg? And, you know, like Ricky said there about the centre midfielders, are you happy with Højbjerg, Winks, Dele Alli today? And are you happy with the way that Antonio Conte keeps switching this up?
I'm not happy with Dele Alli, as I said before. I just think there's better people than him. I just think that, and the other thing is that how many games does he have to play when in commentary or in the pre-match they say, "Oh, this is his last chance. He really has to impress." Well, you can't keep on saying that for the full season. There's got to come a point where you say he's either really showing himself to be a great player and he's improving, or he's not improving and he needs to go somewhere else to play. You can't keep on saying, you know, "Oh, this is a really important game for Dele Alli." They said it again today, and I was like, "Oh, really?" We haven't replaced Eriksen. I mean, we haven't got that creative midfielder. We haven't got that someone that can unlock, that can ping clever balls to Kane and Son and balls under the top. And who was it that just wrote that? Paul. He's absolutely right. You know, and the first 25 minutes showed it. We had no guile. I was surprised that Skippy didn't start. I thought he has been fantastic, and he's got that. Well, and I think that the team in general, and I will be the first to swear. I'll go mild just to start. I won't feel the air blue. They're all starting to add a little bit of shithousery into the game, which I like. And Skippy's got in that in his locker. You know, he's
Darren. That today is now the 3rd consecutive Premier League game where we have played against 10 men when a player has been sent off. That says it all.
Oh, right. Well, there you go. Yeah. But in answer to the question, we still haven't replaced Eriksen, and you can chop and change all you want, but we just don't have that player in the squad at the moment. And I think until we get that, you know, a Modric, an Eriksen, you know, we may struggle against the top teams, you know, where you just need a bit of guile, you know, you need a bit of cleverness, a bit of inspiration. We don't have that. And just before you go on, I was just thinking about Højbjerg. You're the stat man, Chris. Has he started like every game this season? He must be knackered. Like he looked well out of sorts today.
He's ever present for Spurs. He gives absolutely everything. In my opinion, I don't know why Højbjerg gets so much flack. Now, in a team, and it's funny because Crackers, who comes on this channel quite a lot, he refers to Højbjerg as the dustman. He refers to as Højbjerg as just cleaning up all the crap, you know, around. And that's exactly how I see him. He is there to protect the back four. He is not there to be a creative midfielder, start creating chances. He's not that type of player.
No.
But he has done, Chris. He has done the last couple of games. You know what I mean?
And so has Harry Winks today.
Yeah, but the link up that Højbjerg had with Lucas the other day, do you know what I mean? And he scored a couple this year as well. I think Darren's right in the sense that he's a bit knackered. Do you know? He played 2 days ago, and then he's played today. You know, I felt today he had a bit of a not his greatest game, but yeah, he's ever present for us.
He reminds me like of Gary Mabbott. He's just one of them play. Do you know what I mean? He just will give.
Well, actually, Ricky, that was a good point. Are you surprised that Antonio Conte didn't make more changes than just the 3? You know, 48 hours after. You know, when I say 48 hours, it's actually 46 hours after playing the match.
Yeah, no, I am. I thought he would have. I thought he would have maybe paired up. Given Højbjerg a rest because the middle of the park, the 2 midfielders or 3 midfielders, and the wing backs. This is where the most energy is being expelled in these areas. Do you know what I mean? The midfield are doing attacking and defending at the same time, the same as the wing backs. They're doing attacking and defending at the same time. So these are the areas where I would have felt that he would have rotated a bit more. Obviously, Sessegnon's out right now, you know, on his way back, and he probably would have, Sessegnon probably would have got a game today. But yeah, I was a bit surprised. But it shows you that Conte said it the other day. He said, like, you know, I'm starting to see which players I can count on, and I think that that's really important for him.
Wow.
You know, the people that we're not seeing in that side, to me, it says that he can't count on them, and that's including Ndombele, that's including Lo Celso, that's including a couple of others. Do you know what I mean? But well, you know, again, I trust him. That's all I can say. So if he felt that Højbjerg could play today, then I feel that he could have played today as well.
Gary, I want to come to you on this next point because we know Darren's thoughts on Dele Alli. Roy Price writes on screen now, and I know exactly what Roy's talking about because I thought this whilst watching the game. Dele once again had the ball played to him down the flank, and once again didn't bust the gut to get to the ball. Now, the Dele Alli that I know of old, you know, Dele Alli would have had that ball, he would have gone down the flank, he would have cut in, he would have crossed the ball really, really quickly, and everything would have been fast, one-touch football, and it would have been, you know, very dynamic for him. Now, he held the ball up. He waited until about 3 Southampton players were around him, and then tried to look for a pass. It just seemed to be so slow, and it's not what I'm used to seeing.
No, I wrote it down, and I put Dele don't look fit. He didn't look fit in that game. I mean, the fastest he actually did move was he was one of the players that did come out and try and block the goal that Southampton scored. He was the only Tottenham player that sort of busted a gut to get out to try and block the shot. So I'll give him that, although he didn't get there and didn't block it because they scored, obviously. But apart from that, he looked very slow, looked unfit, looked uninterested, which is such a shame after the other game he had. He looked really promising and good. We're in a position where we're like, oh, Dele, he'll play sort of a little bit good, and we're there's a lot of fans, and I've been guilty of it as well, that are still hanging on to this Dele from old, but I just don't think he's ever going to come back. But you know, if we'd have taken, because Ricky, I think you said he should have been taken off at half time, and I was saying the same, and I would have brought Ndombele on, but then I just don't know with Ndombele either. This is the problem, because Dele first half could be much like what Ndombele could be second half. So what you need to remember at the moment is Conte has none of his players, none whatsoever, right?
Yeah.
And we're still playing much better, free-flowing, faster, positive football. But
Gary, can I just say, it sounds like all 4 of us are being quite negative today, and I really want to stress the fact that I feel very positive right now.
Yeah, no, I don't think we are being negative. I just think we're being realistic and we're being honest. Look, we went into a game today away from home. You know, we rotated it a little bit. Some players had a bad game. We've mentioned them. We know Dele Alli didn't have a good game. Ndombele, I think, like Ricky said, I would have brought Ndombele. I would have made 2 changes. Ndombele would have come on, and the other one was the obvious one, Reguilon, because he was going to get sent off, because the home crowd were going to get him sent off, because they had a player sent off. It's tick for tack. We know that. But at the end of the day, Conte's just broke a record where, you know, we've gone unbeaten. Was it now 7 games, Premier League?
Yeah.
Look, it's a game away from home.
The first manager ever in Tottenham's history.
Well, that's what I mean. So it is positive. And I always say, you know, if you can't win a game away, just don't lose it. And yes, Southampton might have gone down to 10 men, but nowadays that means nothing. It means nothing. Sometimes it's more difficult when the other team goes down to 10 men. And sometimes, you know, if we'd have gone down to 10 men, we might have pushed on and won that game. It's a weird thing when a player's sent off. But ultimately, we've gone away from home. We've got a point. We've played some good football. We've had a lot of possession in the second half, which we should have, but we have had it away from home. And we were robbed. We was robbed. And I'm not saying that because I'm bitter or because I'm angry, because I'm not that angry. When that game finished, I was more frustrated and angry with the 2-2 Liverpool game at home than what I was with that. Because with that game today, we're away from home. We've got a point. And ultimately, we've not messed up our chances. You know, we've not missed half a dozen clear-cut chances like we did against Liverpool. We've just been robbed by VAR. That's it.
Gary, going back to Dele Alli very quickly though, when you look at his performance against Liverpool, to the performance against today.
Miles apart.
What Dele Alli are you expecting going forward, and do you think he's going to get the opportunity? Because I think Ricky said earlier about Dele Alli with chances. Is he going to get many more chances? Will he be sold in the January transfer window?
Do you know what? I think he probably goes out on loan in January, unless the next few games he really ups his game, which I can't really see happening. So I think we're never going to sell Dele Alli. It's not going to happen. And we wouldn't at the moment anyway. Levy isn't going to sell him when he's not been playing good because he's not going to get the money for him. So he's going to go out on loan unless he picks it up a bit and has another great game like he did against Liverpool. Because it's frustrating with Dele Alli, Chris. We've had so many conversations, you and me, about him and that. And, we all kind of got a little bit of Dele Alli now. And, we remember the goals he scored and how good he was. And, it's just a bit disappointing, and you feel a little bit like that with Ndombele, but it goes back a lot further with Dele Alli because we've had him for so long. Do you know what I mean? And he's never come out really and said he doesn't want to play for the club or be with the team, whereas Ndombele has. So it's a tough one for me. But like what Ricky said, I would have taken Dele off at half-time and I would have brought on Ndombele. And, well, would we have won the game then? I don't know. Ndombele would have scored and it would have been disallowed as well. So it's one of those games where we were never going to win it, unfortunately, and you just have to accept it and move on. We were never, ever going to win that game today because the ref and VAR made sure of it. And that's just the way it is, It's just one of them things, isn't it?
I think he should spend less time doing Instagram live, staring at the phone, listening to his drill music, and concentrate on playing the ball forward to Son. There you go.
But you know what? It's sad. It's sad with Dele.
It is sad. Yes.
We all know the potential of him, and when he burst onto the scene, we could all see him just going from strength to strength to strength to strength. But there is something missing in his game, like the aggression that he had when he first came over. Now, I don't want him to be punching people in the gut on the corner, but like that was kind of trained out of him. His first touch flicks and tricks, we haven't seen that in a while. And Mourinho wanted to train that out of him. He used to nutmeg people for fun. When was the last time you saw him nutmeg someone? Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot that's been taken out of his game. There's a lot of kind of different kind of missions and parameters that have been put on him from different managers. And the last time he was kind of free flowing was under Poch, and it's just sad to see him kind of what he could be and where he is. It's just that I love Dele to bits, and I want him to do well for us, but it's just sad when you see him not taking the chances that he's being given, especially under this manager.
Yeah, but I know that our football, when we had Jose, was turgid to say the least. But we all saw the pep talk and the Dele's brother and all that. And if you've got a manager, this was before we were going downhill quickly, under Jose. But if you got one of the world's greatest ever football managers saying that I believe in you, I want to see you perform, surely that is the catalyst, irrespective of what happened to Jose and then Nuno. But surely that is the catalyst you need to go, wow, what an accolade that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, Chris. I just want to ask you something quickly, Chris. Do you know in regards to the Tottenham Liverpool game and in this game today? The difference was miles apart. The pace, passion, everything. Do you put that down to the rotation? Do you put that down to a game in 48 hours? Or do you put it down to we're away from home, or a bit of everything? Because I was trying to work it out tonight.
I think Southampton clearly had a game plan, and I thought that they were exceptional in that first half. I really do. And sometimes you do need to give credit to the opposition. Of course, it's always easier, for us to play at home. But I don't think it's down to the personnel. And as I said earlier, Gary, I feel very positive as a Spurs fan right now. You said yourself, Antonio Conte hasn't got any signings in yet. He has improved every single player, every single game that Antonio Conte has managed, apart from the Mura one. I can see positives. And I think it's onwards and upwards. I really, really do. So I don't want to be too negative in this chat.
No.
Ricky, I want to come to you first. Actually, before I do, I just want to say that Antonio Conte has confirmed that Lo Celso, Sessegnon and Bergwijn will all miss the Watford game because they are all out injured. Lo Celso actually got injured in the warm down against West Ham, which again is simply frustrating. Ricky, let's come to you. Roy Price writes on screen now, and Roy's a very positive guy. He's always writing very positive comments on my channel, so thank you, Roy. Guys, we're unbeaten. We scored 4 goals, 2 wrongly written off. Could have been 3-1 to us with a bit of luck. Ricky, give me the positives that you're taking from today.
Look, we're unbeaten. Like Roy has just said there, we continue to be unbeaten under Conte. The building blocks are still in there. Do you know what I mean? We're still building. Again, if those goals would have gone in today or they would have been registered today, we would have all been here sitting with big smiles and kind of another win, and we continue. I think this is. I think it is. We are in a positive place right now. I've never. It's been a while since I don't fear any team going up against them right now with Conte as our manager. When we got the West Ham cup draw, and we were still under Nuno at that point, I was just like, oh, here we go. Like, I don't see us doing anything in that game. In fact, I could see the banter, the memes, the texts, the lot coming. Do you know what I mean? But as soon as Conte's turned up, it was totally different. So we are still putting these building blocks in. Conte is still working out his players. Do you know what I mean? Who he can count on, who he can't count on. And we've got more shots. We're defending better. We're more cohesive as a team. Under Nuno, there was many a time that it just felt like a bunch of individuals just trying to not get singled out after the game. Do you know what I mean? As the one that made the mistake or the one that was not up for it. So he has brought us together. Not only has he unified the fans, he's unified a lot of the core in that team. So there are loads of positives to go on. It's just the way that those goals were taken away from us. Do you know what I mean? Terrible. Which is frustrating, which is upsetting. Yeah, which almost like makes it feel like a loss.
Yeah,
more than a draw. And that's where the frustrations come from, where we can pick out a couple of individuals here and there and kind of go, all right, cool, you wasn't that great. But these are perfect, great, fantastic building blocks. Even if they, even for instance, Doherty, for instance, he knows that after today, that he shouldn't be playing on the left. I know, but it is a positive. It is a positive. Like that Mura game was a massive negative. It was a positive in a sense that he was like, okay, can't do this again. Do you know what I mean? I can't change out the whole 11 and kind of count on this one and count on that one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to concentrate on the core and then try and dibble-dabble and kind of give everybody their opportunity. So even in a negative result, there is still positives being taken out, especially for Conte, because he can assess it with a clearer sense of who's doing what he wants to do. So there are loads of positives there, Chris, honestly.
One stat, Ricky, that you were talking about that Conte's made is the running and the work rate, and I think it was something like 100k kilometers on average a match under Nuno, and 114. So he's got them straight away. The work rate's gone right up. And we all knew that was going to happen. Yeah, the shots.
Do you know another positive, which is not an obvious one? We've got all the more possession chances on goal and everything else, but you touched it on earlier, Chris, which I'm really enjoying, is we're getting players sent off, which I'm loving. Yeah, because you know what, that goes a long way.
It's on purpose, then, Gary.
Yeah, brilliant. Because you know what, like I love the fact that Sanchez got that idiot sent off because that was karma after Tanganga. I love the fact we got the Liverpool player sent off. I love it because at the end of the day, you've got more chance of holding on to a draw or winning a game when they go down to 10 men. Tottenham of old would lose their heads, as much as you love or hate Lamella, he was Marmite. Getting sent off, players losing their rag. We seem to have a lot more control of the game. And I like Royale because Royale is clever. I like the way he plays. He draws in the fouls. And he exaggerates it, which is brilliant, because this is what Chelsea players and Liverpool players and Man United players.
Did you hear the scream? Gal, did you hear the scream today? I heard it, and I'm in Worcester Park. It was unbelievable. It's like he'd been shot.
I'm loving that, because if we carry on playing the way that we're playing and getting, you know, opposition players sent off, we've got more chance of drawing or winning games, because the draw away from home today is still a positive. And do you know what? If Southampton did have 11 men, we may have lost that game today. So that is probably my highest positive, is getting... We've had a player sent off in the last 3 games practically. What we had? Liverpool, Palace.
Yeah,
Palace.
Robinson,
Amazing. May it continue. Brilliant. Let's get 2 sent off when we play Woolwich, and I'll be over the moon.
And you know what you say about mentality, Gal, as well.
Yeah.
You know when Harry Kane's goal got struck off for offside, the one thing that he done calmly was, he was like, guys,
like that.
You know, don't drop your heads. We'll go again. We'll get it again. We'll go again. Don't worry. It's all right. It's okay. Let's not let that affect us. And that again is about the mentality that's being. And
that's do you know what, Ricky? That's a good point. You know, yes, you know, there's a lot of fans, Chris, in the live chat. They're disappointed. They're saying, oh, you know, it's 2 points dropped and everything else. But listen, Harry Kane's scoring goals. Whether or not rightly or wrong they're being crossed off, he's back scoring goals. And I don't know about you, but the way he took that pass from Winks and controlled it and scored it was absolutely amazing. So for me, I'm happy, you know, because it can only go one way now. So happy days, you know. You know, the next game, VAR might come to our rescue. It happens, doesn't it? So
the other thing, while we're on a roll now of positivity, the other thing I'm liking is we're seeing our players hunting packs now. Yeah, and I haven't seen that in a long while, where there's like 3 or 4 Spurs players. Like, I've seen Liverpool are good at that. But
I was going to say Liverpool do that. Yeah,
we're doing that now. We're hunting in packs and we're surrounding players, and I'm like, that's interesting. I've never seen Spurs sort of do, you know.
I love it.
That. Yeah,
Darren, you're right. As soon as someone went through on goal, Royale was right up to ref. Come on, mate. That's the second booking. Off he goes. I want players like that. That's what I want. I want Sanchez antagonising what's his face, the idiot from Palace. I want that to happen. Yeah, that's exactly what I want. It's brilliant. Zaha
always looks like he's about to burst. Always looks like he's about to burst into tears. You know,
Chris will tell you. I don't know if you were sitting behind me then, Chris, but when Zaha got sent off, I celebrated that more than the goal. Yeah, than the goals we scored, because I was so angry with what he did to Tanganga and us going down to 10 men. That him getting sent off and he was walking right where I was. That was better than one of the goals or any of the goals. I loved it. Brilliant.
And you know what? On the chasing down with the pack and stuff like that and our movement, it says a lot about the fitness and how the fitness levels have gone up. Do you know what I mean? Definitely. To be able to do that and still, you know, play the game is showing our fitness levels are increasing week in, week out. The longer, and this is after a COVID breakout as well, which derailed our momentum at the time, you know? So there are loads of positives. I'm not unhappy with our side at all. I'm a lot happier with what we're doing and how we turn up. We're turning up to fight. We're turning up to win. We're turning up to not lose our heads when we go down. There's a lot of positive.
I mean, the thing is, Ricky, you're spot on, right? And if we were sitting here and the game had ended 1-1, and we you know, like the game's under Nuno, and we didn't have really many chances and stuff like that, I'd be more disappointed in that than what I am with scoring 2 perfectly good goals by being struck off by the ref and VAR. Because at least we are scoring the goals. So that is the positive. Because before, we weren't making no chances, mate. And that's gone. That's long gone, that old Tottenham. So that's a positive. It's good. It's good.
We're all up, Chris. End the show quickly. End the show now. Come on, we're all up. Good night, everyone. See you later. Spurs.
It's very true, though. It's very true. 8 weeks ago, we weren't even having a shot on target, and now we're creating chances. We've got Harry Winks providing assists. You know, he has turned the club around. He really has. And like you said, Ricky, December, you know, for Spurs, results-wise, has been very, very good. I know we're all disappointed today, but December, you know, we're hunting that top 4 spot. Yeah, and we have 2 games in hand at the moment. We will go into the top 4 above Arsenal and West Ham. And, of course, we're in a Carabao Cup semi-final. So I'm very pleased right now as a Spurs fan. As I say, I know today was disappointing. Darren, let's come to you. Half-time 1-1. Reguilon was then subbed off. Doherty come on. What did you think of that decision? Because for me, and I'm part of a number of WhatsApp groups, everybody was saying, get Reguilon off. He's going to get sent off in that second half.
Yeah,
don't bring him, because he does love to put a foot in, doesn't he?
He does, and that's what I was saying. I've got a funny feeling that my daughter and my wife have stuck us down on a TV downstairs. They may be watching this, so I can't use interesting language. But it's the housery. Let's just say it's the housery, and he's got that in him. You know, it reminds me of Lamella in that respect. He's got, I don't know whether that's his Argentinian blood, but he's got that in his locker, and I like that. I like him a lot, you know. And as much as Gary was saying how astute and canny Royale is, I think if he's gonna play that wing back position on the right, for me, I need to see from him more forward movement, more bombing. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of you know, like Danny Rose and Simon Davies and our old players that are just absolutely having it down that, you know, Walker, you know, that a proper wing back, and I don't see that from him. I think he sort of stops and cuts back a little bit.
I like Royale, but I think maybe not everyone does, but I prefer him than Romero, but that's just me. I don't know. I really like him. Really like him, yeah.
But in answer to your opinion, Chris, listen, I've got to be honest, as you know, irrespective of the nice ball that he played, I mean, I'm sorry, but Doherty just isn't. I mean, come on, those touches. I mean, he was like, you know. Come on.
He had 3 glorious chances, and in another game, he might have had a hat-trick.
Yeah.
Oh, and in another day, you know, I'd be married to, you know, Kim Kardashian.
The missus is watching. The missus is watching, Dal.
Careful.
Who did you say?
Chris?
Married to who?
I don't know, Kim Kardashian. We can all dream, Chris. You know, we can all fantasize. But come on, I mean, the guy is. I mean, it was like, come on
poor.
now,
very poor.
Yeah, they were poor misses. They were poor misses. Gary, let's come to you. Of course, in the 53rd minute, I know we've spoken about this at length. Of course, Harry Winks with that fantastic ball over. Harry Kane run onto it, offside apparently. Comment here, Kyle Walker-Peters should have been off last man. Harry Kane was level. We've also got one from Faz. Brian Hill on the right, Doherty on the left was a bit confusing. What did you make of that?
Yeah, look, listen, we all knew Reguilón had to come off, but like Ricky said, I mean, Tanganga, shuffle it about. Doherty for me is dead. I remember I took the wife to a game, a Europa Conference game, a few months back. And the ball came over. Doherty was standing right in front of us, right? And she knows a few of the players. And the ball's come and he's let it go under his foot and it's gone out. And she looked at me, she went, "Who's that?" And I went, "That's Doherty." She went, "Yeah, he's very bad, isn't he?" And I went, "Yeah, he is." And that's Doherty. You know, he's useless. Brian Hill, I saw some people in the comments were saying Brian Hill, or, you know, I'm not sure.
Hold on, Gary. Hold on.
I love Brian Hill.
How have you not, you know, taught every family member, you know, every player, every squad number, all of their stats? How have you not done that yet? Come on.
Listen, she's not interested. When she goes to games, she just wants to pervert Højbjerg. She's not interested in anything else. That's all she wants. Innit, babe? You want to pervert Højbjerg, didn't you? She's like that. Yeah. That's all she wants to do. But I thought Brian Hill or Brian Gill, whatever you want to call it, I love him. Again, going back to Europa, it was the same game, actually, Europa Conference game. He started in that one. It was one of his first games for us. He was absolutely amazing. I love him. I think Brian Hill, Brian Gill, whatever you want to call him, Benny Hill, whatever you want, I think he's got energy. He goes for it. You know, he's brilliant. But Doherty, I think you can 100% guarantee Doherty is gone in January. That is one player is gone. That is 100%. When you start talking about Dele Alli and, you know, other players and Rodon will come into that and stuff like that, I don't know, but Doherty's gone. I don't know what's happened.
The only reason he got a game today was because was Sessegnon injured?
Yeah.
Otherwise, he'd have been on for him. There's no way in a million years he would have got in over Sessegnon.
And it's frustrating, Darren, with Sessegnon as well, because, you know, we know when he came back and he got sent off in a bad one. After that, he improved, but he gets injured too often.
I know.
What's up with Sessegnon? It's just so frustrating, you know. But this is the problem with why we have to rotate, you know. And in an ideal world, we put out our strongest 11 and we play them every week and we get a bit of consistency and stuff. But We can't do that when you're playing every 48 hours. It's impossible. You know, we just can't do it.
Gary, going back to Brian Hill, he's not actually started. He's not actually started a Premier League game yet. Do you think he's going to get his opportunity soon?
Has to. Listen, Chris, I rate him. I think he's really good. You know, I love the way he cuts in. He's got pace. I think he's got a good shot on him. I think if I remember rightly, he smashed the crossbar once, and he's had a couple of close efforts and stuff and some saves. At least he goes for it. He bombs forward. I think he's brilliant. I really like him. So I think he will start and he'll get more game time. He's still learning, Conte. You know, he's had the players a few weeks. He's still learning who's who. He's getting a bit of a better idea. And even some of the ones that he doesn't really trust in fully, he still has to play a little bit at the moment. You know, he's got none of his own players. So it's one of those things. So like Ricky said, you know, there's going to be a lot of fans. You know, I wrote the team sheet down. You can look at the team sheet and you can say, oh, bloody hell, Harry Winks in there, Ben Davis. But could you really say Ben Davis or Harry Winks had a bad game today? Because I don't think you could. I thought Ben Davis had a pretty good game. You know, you know, so you've got to trust in Conte. You've got to let him rotate. But if I was to pick one player who I'd say out the door, other than, well, I'd probably say Galini and Doherty, but Doherty's definitely top of the list for me. They're probably the two players. And if you want to add to that, you're probably going to throw in the Celso. But it's January. It's not the summer transfer window. And that's the other thing, isn't it?
Yep. Well, as I said, you know, we had a number of opportunities, you know, leading up to the end of the game. But after today's result, we are sixth in the Premier League, 2 games in hand. And if we win both of them, we'll be above Arsenal and West Ham, which is a huge positive. And if that happens, can you believe we will only be 11 points away from the top of the Premier League, Ricky? There's positivity. 11 points.
I told you, Chris, when we first signed Conte, I told you he would be looking at the top of the league. Do you know what I mean? However mad that sounds or that looks, he will aim for the top. And if we fall short, then we're still in a good position. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, that's crazy. And it's crazy what a manager can do. I mean, especially when I look at the game against Palace with Nuno and in the game against Palace with Conte, worlds apart, bro. Worlds
completely,
apart.
innit?
So we are definitely going in the right direction. If and when we win those games in hand, you know, I think we're going to be right up there. I think he's going to look at this as an opportunity. I think you're seeing that from the players around. You know, they have an opportunity because beginning of this season, even though we won the first 3, we were still, you know, Titanic FC, Chris. We were still sinking. You know,
we weren't playing good football, were we? Really?
Not at all. Look, Gal, the amount of times that I was watching a game like this with no emotion. Before Conte turned up,
I would say because we are their bogey team. But first game of the season against Man City, we looked good. We didn't look too bad. We pressed. We had we were doing what we were doing against Liverpool. We was getting them on the break. We should have won that by more. You know, Bergwijn missed an opener and stuff. But as soon as the City game was done and all the other games, we were nicking draws and wins, and we were very, very, very poor. Not like today. Today Southampton have got away with a draw. Not Tottenham. Southampton have. That's not what was happening 6-7 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what we need to remember, isn't it? It's crazy.
And again, it's been a long time, you know, in the last 10 minutes that we feel like we can go for a winner. You know, last 10 minutes and an extra time where we're like, come on, we can do it, come. And they're doing it. Do you know what I mean? Many a time before Conte turned up, you know, you get to the last 10 minutes, whether we're 1-0 down or what, I just didn't feel that it was going to happen.
No.
I thought it was just gonna peter out, and whatever the result was going to be,
you're right,
that's
Ricky.
the way it was.
None of us could say today that, you know, we wasn't unlucky not to win that game. We was unlucky.
Yeah.
You know? And that's something. I mean, so...
Yeah,
Ricky, let's come back to you. Comment here from Stefan saying Brian Hill could be the creative spark that we need. He deserves a run. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think he's dynamite. I think he still has to, you know, build up his upper body strength and stuff like that. He was getting barged off the ball earlier on in the season in Conference League and stuff like that. He was getting barged off the ball quite easily. But he's got trickery. He's got pace. He does have a lot of creativity. He has a dynamite shot. What is difficult with Hill is that we bought him as a traditional left winger. You know, every report out of Spain said that he was a traditional left winger that loved hugging the left-hand side touchline and whipping in crosses and working from out there. But, you know, under Conte, with the formations that we're rolling in now, he's playing in different positions. Now, whether that's a wing back or whether that's like one of the 2 10s behind Kane, you know, there's different roles for him to kind of adapt to. So give him time. You know, he wasn't a player that was brought in to affect the first 11. There was only 2 players that we brought in to affect the first 11, which was Emerson Royale and Romero. Those were the only 2 that we brought in over the summer that would affect the first 11. So he is there as a super sub, and he is there to learn and grow and to settle in. Remember that he's a young player.
He's 20. He's 20.
He's 20 years old. Yeah. He's moved from Spain to England. He's dealing with cultural differences. He's dealing with language barriers. He's dealing with, you know, loads of different things, trying to work his way into the squad, trying to impress the manager. There's loads of different things. But I think his ceiling is so high. You know, you can see it just in the flashes that he's given us. His ceiling is really, really high. So
yeah, I like him.
I think the way that Conte's using him is good. He's bringing him in, you know, with 15 minutes, 20 minutes left of the game, go on, have a go. And I think that will continue. I do think he'll get a bit of a run if, you know, we have a couple of players out. Again, you just said there, Sessegnon, Bergie, and I can't remember who the other one who's out for the Lo Celso. There you go.
Yeah. Those 3 are you've forgotten him, Ricky, already, because he doesn't play that much.
I mean, unless it's international duty, you don't see him playing, do you? Do you know what I mean? I just, you know, again. So I think with them 3 out, I think that he will have an opportunity to play and to kind of, you know, to show us fans what he's about. So just give it time, trust in Conte, and when it's Hill's time, he'll show us. He'll show us exactly what he's about.
And hopefully in January it'll be Selly Alley.
Well, this is exactly what we're going to come on to now, Darren. But before we do, I just want you to think about your answers, because after we talk about the transfer window, I just want to ask you all what your favourite moment as a Tottenham Hotspur fan was during this calendar year of 2021, and your worst moment as well. So do think about that while we're talking about the transfer window. Darren, you mentioned it, Selly Alley. Who will we sell in the January transfer window? And what positions do you think realistically Antonio Conte will go and target and try and bring in?
He's got to have a backup striker for Kane, and like an out-and-out goal scorer. He's got to have a creative midfielder. We just don't have one. The wing backs, you know, they can sort of carry on. Like I say, for me, I love Serge on the left. I like Sessegnon on the left. The right, I want to see Emerson Royale just bomb forward, and I like Hill. But I think, in answer to your question, a replacement striker and a creative midfielder for me. And what was and who are they going to say? Oh, Doherty, come on, please, for the love of God, just send him to Watford, send him to, and you know, send him to, you know, Sunderland. I don't know, Tranmere, Sunderland, you know. For the love of God, and you know, and I'll be your Talia, you know, because Talia makes me laugh, you know, when you know the obligatory Doherty tweet. She put one out today, and he's come on now, enough's enough, enough's enough.
Gary, same question to you.
Who do I want out? Who do I want in?
Yeah.
Oh God, listen, you just said it for me, Doherty. You know, and it's crazy because, you know, my answers have changed in the time that Conte's come in. But for me now, I think it's...
You know what? That's why I think it's such an interesting question. Because I think if I'd asked you all a couple of months ago, you know, the likes of Harry Winks would have been there. Ben Davis would have been there. Eric Dyer might have been there. It's interesting how it's all changed under Conte, isn't it?
It's absolute madness. But for me, Doherty has just got to go. Yeah, it's just so frustrating when you see him come. Yeah, I wasn't like really disappointed when he came on today, because I knew if he didn't, although someone else could have come on, it was the reason I wasn't disappointed today is I knew if that change wasn't made, Reguilon was going to get sent off. So that was the only time when I wasn't massively disappointed. But every other time I have, and he's just, I don't know what happened to him since he left Wolves. He's so poor. I mean, it does happen to players sometimes. I don't know if it's a change of area, team, a confidence thing, but he's absolutely just dog shit, and he's got to go, and that's the end of it. You know, there's nothing, there's no good.
Tell us what you really think.
Yeah, there's no good player in there. So you can't hold on to him like Dombele or even Dele Alli to a certain extent and say to yourself, you know, Dombele is a world-class creative player. He is good. I don't care what no one says. You know, we've seen it with Dombele. We've seen the crazy goal he scored when he was over in the far corner and lobbed the keeper. He's amazing. We know that. We know he can do that. There's nothing with Doherty, right? And as for Lo Celso, he's just made of glass. He's just made of glass, and we've got enough injuries in our team with enough players to be messing around with the likes of Lo Celso as well. So just get rid of Doherty, get rid of Lo Celso, and for Christ's sake, just bring in a creative midfielder and pay 50 million and get Danny Ings, get him back off them.
Oh, come on.
Anyone. We need any other striker, because I tell you what, if we'd have got Danny Ings when we had that opportunity, I think we'd have been scoring a lot more goals. I really do. But I don't think he would have gone to Tottenham anyway. And that's why I think the deal was done so quick and done quietly. But we got to get in another striker, and we got to get in another midfielder. And I only think we'll have 2 in and 2 out in January, and that's all we'll have. I know Spurs fans are thinking, you know, it's going to be 150 million and there's going to be 4 or 5 players. It ain't going to happen. It's going to be 2 in and 2 out max, and that's it. That is what's going to happen. So,
Ricky, let's come to you on the same question. I personally feel the same as Gary. I think that if we get 1 or 2 additions in January, I think it will be very positive for us. I'm not expecting more than that. Are you?
No. I've said it a couple of times. I expect at least 2, and I think 2 could help us. I agree with a lot of what the boys are saying there about the ins and the outs, but I think we have to use the position that we're in and the position that a lot of other clubs are in to our advantage. I think Mr. Paratici has to go to work again. I think that we have to look at, so, you know, as a backup striker right now, we've all heard the reports about Vlahovic, how he's being recommended to work under Conte, how he's being recommended to come to Tottenham over other clubs. I think that we should use the advantage of being in pole position right now and kind of put our money where our mouth is and try and make him maybe the big signing in January before other clubs come in and start bidding for him. Because if he continues on the season that he's having, there's going to be a hell of a lot more clubs that are in for him come the summertime. So I think that we've got to use the fact that we have an advantage in talks and relationships with Vlahovic, and the fact that a lot of people do not buy heavily in January. We've got to use that to our advantage to go and buy heavily, to go and put that money down and go, look, here you go. It is 50, 60, 70 mil. Let's get him in right now. I think definitely to get rid of Doherty and get another right wing back in so that Emerson's got something to play off. Because you've got to remember, a lot of the Spurs fans heard that Emerson was an attacking right back, but in Spain he was more of a defensive right back. For me, he's a bit of both, and I like that he's a bit of both. And I think that the more that he plays, and especially with Lucas, him and Lucas have a dynamite relationship. They love linking up together. I think the more he plays, the more he will grow. But I do think he needs a bit of competition behind him so that we can rotate, because of, like I said, the most amount of energy is coming out of the fullbacks and those centre mids. Would love a creative midfielder if we could do it. But I think what's really interesting is the free market right now. The amount of people that are on a free that have got 6 months to go, you know, is a really, really good list there. You know, Kessie's in there, you know, Dybala's in there, even Mbappe's in there. And our very own Hugo Lloris is going to be in there in a couple of days. So, you know, need to sort out Hugo's contract, need to sort that out real quick. I'm actually surprised we've left it until this point in time, with 4 or 5 days to go before it changed. I'm actually quite surprised that we've left it here. But sign Hugo Lloris up, so we've got him for an extra couple of seasons. But have a look at that free market. We know Paratici loves a free market. So this is an opportunity again to go and get those that have got 6 months left, sign them up so that they come in the summer. But for this January, if we could get 2 in to affect that first 11, I think we could be onto a massive winner. The door's just gone, so I'm going to mute, answer the door, and then I'll be back.
Well, I was just going to answer, Ricky, on the Mbappe rumour, because he's actually come out and said, I'm sure they will do good this season under Conte because he's a great manager, so good for them, but I don't think I'll ever play for Tottenham in my life. So sadly, Mbappe will not be joining Tottenham Sorry about that, Ricky.
Well, Tom Holland tried, didn't he? Tom Holland tried. Good old Spider-Man.
Exactly. Darren, let's come to you. You know my thoughts on this, Darren. Kevin's asking, what's Gordon Ramsay's thoughts on this?
Well, now I'm in a tricky situation because my wife and my 10-year-old and 6-year-old are potentially watching. Hey, Doherty, that pass was fucking shit. Okay, get out, young man.
Darren,
I'll send you that later, Darren. I've videoed you. I'll send it to you later.
Gary, why are you eating strawberry fucking snakes?
No
Ricky?
dominoes at my door. No dominoes at my door, sunshine.
Well, I was going to say, I hope it's Papa John's, if anything. So, yeah, don't be ordering any dominoes anymore.
Yeah, no dominoes, mate. No.
It was Amazon, all right? It was an Amazon delivery, okay? Let's just get it out of the way. No dominoes.
We know. More champagne. We know.
Well,
I think
you know how it goes.
Is it more Spurs DVDs reliving the good times, yeah?
That was all on video back then, Chris. You can't get that on DVD, mate.
Okay. Darren, let's start with you. So the final question of the show, just want to ask you what your favourite moment is of 2021 as a Tottenham Hotspur fan, your worst moment, and also give me a score prediction for the Watford game in 4 days' time.
I was at the Man City game, and that was like we just won the Champions League. I think for atmosphere, it was unbelievable. The flags, the noise. I mean, whew, yeah, that was unbelievable. So definitely the Man City game, the 1-0, first home game of the season. As far as, I mean, I've just written a few 3-0s here. So United, Chelsea, and Palace. So take your pick. I think we have been battered under Nuno this season. So one of them. Watford, they're away. Can I, by the way, can I just mention that we are playing Chelsea 3 times in less than 3 weeks?
Yeah.
So make of that what you will. I think Watford away. I think we've got to learn from the lessons. We've got to come out aggressive. I know, we had it with Palace. We had it today. We've got to play and get a goal or a couple of goals within 20 minutes or half an hour. And we got the capability of doing it. And then to open teams up, make them come to us and create space. So if we can get an early goal or 2, I don't see why we couldn't spank them, 3-4-0. Watford. What do you think?
West Ham won their 4-1 today. I've got to say that my worst moments during 2021 is the Zagreb defeat under Jose Mourinho. That seemed like a long time ago, but that was a pretty low moment.
Yeah.
The Arsenal defeat at the Emirates, that was pretty low as well. And one of the best moments, I think, is our 3-0 home defeat against Manchester United when Nuno ended up getting the sack and we got Conte in. So, and that's one of the worst moments, but it's one of my favourites because, having the appointment of Antonio Conte, I just think has re-energised everybody, the players, the staff, all of us fans. It's re-energized this channel, the people that come on now and we have real banter and it's great fun. And it's been great fun in the last 8 weeks doing these shows because, Antonio Conte has brought that. Gary, what about you? Oh, and my score prediction for Watford, 3-0 Tottenham.
Good.
Yeah, I think I'll do the score prediction first. I think we'll keep a clean sheet against Watford. I didn't think we'd keep one today, but Watford we will. I think we'll win that 2-0. And possibly they might even get a man sent off again, which would be great. So I hope Watford do. Brilliant. If we can keep doing that, I love that. Right, I've had to put a few down here because it's a difficult one. But I would say some of the best moments. I'm not going to go for games or results. No, actually, I am with one of them. So I tell you that. So a couple of the best moments is Son signing a new contract.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing because I think that goes under the radar, and we're so lucky to have Son, and he's so committed to the team. So that was a massive thing, him signing the contract. It was around that time of all the stuff with Harry Kane as well, and it made a real statement, him signing. So that. The other very good positive, well, there's a couple of more. One was bringing Gareth Bale back. I absolutely loved that.
Yeah.
Loved it. loved it. And I know he had his critics and stuff, but I thought he was great when we had him. And incidentally, I'll take him back in January if we could.
Yeah.
And also, one more positive is signing Conte. And that's probably the best one for me, because throughout this show, Chris, right back with Poch and Mourinho and on to Nuno, I always said from day one, we need Conte. It's the only manager. I didn't want anyone else. And I always said, if we get that man, we'll start playing football like we used to and we'll start winning again. And I think we do. And for the negatives, because we've changed this into a positive show, I'm only going to give one negative. And for me, Chris, you probably might know this one. And it was Vitesse away when we went to that, because that was a real low moment for me being a Tottenham fan. You know, partly we travelled there, partly the money and time we spent, my birthday, and just an absolutely awful display. And I remember Dele Alli was right next to me, and I just turned around and went like that.
Can I just say to all the viewers that Gary and I went to Vitesse away, and the flight was delayed by about 3 hours. He did nothing but moan. And we even walked into a hotel after the game because we couldn't get back to our hotel because it was across the water and no boats were running, and it was all sorts of problems. He moaned so much that the receptionist, who we didn't even know, it wasn't even our hotel, ended up going out the back and wanting to give Gary gifts just to shut him up.
Brilliant. And you know what the funny thing is? She came back and she said, "Oh, I had a few cans of beer, but they've gone." And I was like, "Oh, that doesn't matter. I don't drink beer anyway." She goes, "But I did find loads of chocolate." I mean, you know, you can't write it, can you? So for me,
so he was even moaning about the free gift of beer coming his way, and he said, "No, I don't drink it." So there's no pleasing some people, is there?
I still don't know how, Chris, we didn't find that bridge to cross the river, because we walked for hours, mate.
Yeah. Ricky, let's end the show with you. You know, your positive moment of 2021, the worst moment of 2021, and your score prediction for Watford.
I'm gonna, for my positive, I agree with all of you boys tonight on the positives. But I think for me, one of the positives happened a little, a week or so ago, and beating West Ham in the cup after all of the palaver that they've given us.
Nice.
And and after all of the palaver, even against Mourinho when we was 3-0 up, and then they came back, made it 3-3. Like just to put one over on West Ham, even their song, that putrid song, to put one over on West Ham in the cup, because every time they play us is a cup final. So to put one over on them in a cup game was definitely a positive for me. The negatives, I've got to say, was those London derbies under Nuno, and a lot of the Conference League. Do you know what I mean? Unfortunately, but I tell you what, just one more positive as well. It was Conte's first game, that Vitesse game. It, like, when I tell you, the whole atmosphere changed. As soon as he turned up, the whole atmosphere. Every Tottenham fan had their chests up. We didn't expect miracles straight away, but we could see it. We could see it straight away that this was the changing moment. This was a pivotal time for our fortunes to change. And he's just gone from strength to strength, week in, week out. And on my prediction against Watford, I'm going to go 3-0 as well. I see a clean sheet, and I see Harry continuing his goal scoring form, and I see a solid 3-0 victory. So come on, you Spurs.
Let's hope so. Ricky. Darren, thanks so much for joining us this evening, and tell everyone where they can find you and your fantastic work.
Thank you very much. My thoughts on this, Chris. You can find me on.
Hold on. When are the parodies coming out of these two? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, boys. Yeah, boys. Little cheeky side of the mouth. Yeah, boys. I've got to work on that. He knows who it is, though, doesn't he? He knows who it is. Yeah, boys. Okay, boys. What I tell you there, boys. I'm just on Twitter. I uploaded a Gordon Ramsay today. I'm on Instagram. So yeah, and you can find me on there as well. Yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah. You can find me there. I'll tell you another thing. So it's right. Another thing. I'll tell you another thing. We're in the car ride and go to the Swiss. I'll tell you the beer. Don't drink fucking beer. I'll tell you another thing. Take your hair. So you can probably find me anywhere, really, Chris.
He does me good though, doesn't he?
He fucking does. He does me good, doesn't he, Chris? I'll tell you that. I'll tell you the sweets is there. I don't want the fucking sweets. I was in the car for 15 hours.
Do you remember when he done it? When we was at the home game? I think it was was it Vitesse we was at? All 4 of us, wasn't it?
Yeah.
All 5 of us. Sorry. Do you remember when he done me then? I was like,
Oh, bro.
I was crying.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Darren. Gary, where can everyone find you? And please keep
You
it
can
clean.
find me, mate, at home watching Chris Cowlin on YouTube. End of January, back on stage at Dream Boys in London. And apart from that, every single minute of the day, eating pick and mix sweets. Pretty much it.
Brilliant. Well, thanks so much for joining me. And Ricky, thanks so much as always.
Thanks for having me on, Chris, as always. Always an honour and a pleasure.
Impersonating me, man.
You will find me liking and subscribing the old channel, as always. You can also find me, Ricky J. Norwood on Twitter, official Ricky Norwood on Insta. And yeah, the Christmas movie is out on Netflix right now, Princess Switch 3. So that's where you can find me. But make sure you like and subscribe for all of the hard work and dedication that Chris puts in every single show, every single game, every single week. You know, you've got to be applauded. Dynamite work, Chris. And well done to you this year, my friend.
I do the easy bit. It's you guys that do the work. So thank you so much indeed. So and thank you for all of the viewers today and all of the subscribers, etc. All of the support. So have a happy new year, everyone, and let's hope that 2022 is our year that Tottenham Hotspur lift a trophy. And can you believe we've done 1 hour 41, and that is the first time I've mentioned the word trophy.
Hey!
Wow. That's good going, Chris.
Darren, Gary, Ricky, thank you so much, and happy new year to everyone. Come on, you Spurs.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Cheers.